All right.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Ready, Set, Thrive is back on track. We've missed you guys. Took a little break last week with everything going on, but we are back this week with the incredible Laura Dandoy coming to us from Remax Resources. I want to give like a little bit of information about this powerhouse that we have here with us today. So Laura has the title currently of being the excuse me, you guys, my voice is cutting in and out, so bear with me today. Laura is the #3 Remax selling agent in the US, and she's actually #10 in the world. So she kind of knows what she's up to. So the consumer is having an extremely wonderful experience with Laura and her team. And so what we wanted to talk about today is just how, with the shift, with everything that's been happening in light of COVID, in light of everything else, what Laura's been doing to pivot, to shift, and to make sure that the consumer is feeling safe, secure, and at the helm of everything that's important as we have this industry that's going through changes on a daily basis. So welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us today. Ricardo, love the hat.
Thanks.
Got the West hat going. You guys might notice
I've worn a hat.
Exactly. This is like the hat tribe. Well, listen, Laura, the reason I'm wearing a hat is somebody does not have her roots covered. So,
and I haven't had a haircut in 2 months, so
exactly.
Maybe 3. I don't know. I've lost track.
Yeah, and this is my first episode with a microphone, so I'm super excited about it.
I'm so honored.
Yeah, I got a microphone just for you, Laura. Of course, I don't have a voice, but that's okay. So anyway, we just, first of all, just congratulations. I mean, you had the Remax event, and this was right before we had the COVID situation hit. And so, I mean, I don't think you really got an opportunity to kind of celebrate that moment, because it was all of a sudden, here we are. Now we're back into crisis mode and taking care of everything. So from me, at least, hey, congratulations, because that's no easy feat. So that's got to feel pretty good. Yeah. And consistency is something that I know that you value. Finding ways to be consistent and bring the consumer, bring your clients year after year, month after month, week after week, that brand that you bring to the table. So Ricardo, let's kind of dive in from there and sort of talk about, why your brand matters, why consistency and value of your name and your reputation matters in the industry.
Yeah, Laura, I think Stacey was sharing that one of your mantras is satisfied customers equal repeat customers. As we kind of think about, the challenges ahead for our industry, agents always like to say, hey, we work by referral, or gosh, I wish I had more business by referral. Referrals are really a slam dunk when you're getting referred business. It's a lot different than working internet leads, working cold leads. And I think, it's going to be a challenge to really, it's going to be extremely important to really think about the customer experience that you're delivering, because it's something that you kind of have to live and really deliver. You can't just say, I'm the best agent and here's why. You really have to be true to your brand, be true to your word, and you don't get to your position by accident. So you've done that, you've built that. But can we start kind of at the beginning? Like, what does that mantra mean for your business, and how have you grown to where you are? I know that's probably a loaded question.
Yeah, it started really from day one. And before I started selling real estate, I was a branch manager and a business banking officer with Wells Fargo. And so, even back before real estate, I had a fiduciary to the people that I was working with, very much their confidant, their person that they could come to with whatever they needed.
Yeah.
So then when I left banking and went into real estate, and I had done loans, so that made it a really easy transition for me to go into real estate. I took that same level of care and professionalism into real estate. And I think that's part of it, is we have to think about ourselves as real estate professionals, not just salespeople or real estate agents. And while we are salespeople and real estate agents, and most importantly, realtors, we are real estate professionals. We are taking care of most people's largest single asset, and we have to treat them and their properties with respect and care. And, the fiduciary is really, really important. So when you start from that baseline and then you work up to saying, if I take care of my client, I get taken care of. And that's always been my motto. I mean, I honestly can tell you, I had it on a banner in one of our offices, years ago. If we take care of our clients, we get taken care of. It is super important for me to make sure that it is always client-centric first. And sometimes, things don't go the way we want. And that's very disappointing. You worked really hard and you end up, it doesn't work out and you don't get paid. But it's never about me first. It's always about the client first. And so when you operate from that position to begin with, it's really easy to stay focused on the things that matter to take care of the consumer. And that's what we're all about.
Exactly. And finding ways to connect the dots with the consumer, because as I think most of us can attribute to, everyone has a different set of needs. And so it's a matter of figuring out how to identify what is that unique need that consumer has, and how do I quickly adjust myself, my team, so that I'm providing that service in that instance. Is that something that you think comes with training? Do you think that's something that's very instinct driven, or what do you think that is for you?
Well, for me, it's very simple, because I look at each transaction as a whole. It's not a deal. I am dealing with people. I am dealing with somebody's life. And so I look at what I need to do. I have long conversations when I meet with somebody that I'm going to be working with, whether it's a buyer or a seller. I dig in and I find out what their needs are, what they really are requiring out of the transaction, what they want out of the transaction, what they're, maybe dreaming about out of the transaction. Some people are super excited because they're going to buy their first new house, or they're moving up to their dream home. And some people are really sad because spouse died or are getting a divorce. And so you have to find out what's motivating them.
What's moving them.
Exactly. And where their pain and pleasure points are, if you will, to be able to not manipulate them, but to be able to assist them and say, if I have to talk on the phone with my ex-husband again, I'm going to shoot myself. And you say, no, I'm going to talk to him. I'll take care of that for you. And, you kind of just help them move through it so that they don't have to be worried. They don't have to take on additional burdens. And same thing when you're helping somebody who's really excited. You get excited with them. And it's fun. And I love taking that journey with people one way or the other. However I can be of assistance and, walk that road with them to help them get where they want to be or where they need to be. And for me, it's very satisfying because I'm taking care of them.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish that.
It's about a relationship. You get to know people and you understand where they're coming from. And so, as I said earlier, it's not a deal. It's about a person, and it's about their life and their changes in their life, whether they're happy or sad. I always feel like I'm there to help them get where they need to be. And that's why I do it. And it's an honor to be able to work with people to get them to their next stage.
Right. Well, and from what I've seen, just kind of from the outside looking in, I see that you're a very disciplined person, and that you really are committed to, when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And so I think that having that innate motivation, like you said, my motivation is the consumer. This is their life. I take it very seriously. And so I really step into it with that intention. But having that discipline and that strength to understand that, okay, there are certain things that have to go into place in order for this to go smoothly. And I have to provide that reassurance. So kind of a pivot for us here. When COVID-19 hit and suddenly everybody was up in arms with like, okay, what's happening? Are we no longer going to be able to move real estate? No open houses. We're now virtual. All of a sudden, there was a lot of real estate agents that had to quickly respond and figure out, how do I keep things moving? So I'd like to kind of touch base there, because I really appreciated the way that you quickly pivoted and put together some safety protocols for your clientele. I'd love to have you kind of share with us, and for consumers that are thinking about, hey, I know things are starting to open up. I know that things are starting to uptick in the market again, but kind of speak to that portion of things, of how do you as a brokerage move forward and put things into place to create safety and reassurance for the clients?
Well, I think we were in a little bit of a unique position right up front, because when we opened the RE/MAX office, and even before the RE/MAX office, we've been, virtual, if you will. We have everything online. All of our transaction platforms we've always used Zoom. It isn't something that was unfamiliar for us.
Right.
The shift to not having agents in the office, and most importantly, our support team in the office, that was different. But really and truly, it's just like I'm sitting in my dining room right now, but I could just as easily be in the office doing the same thing. There was no learning curve, if you will. We were able to pick up and adjust. And I think that's one of the things that we've always done very well. Even in 2007, 8, when the market crashed, we immediately made adjustments. We did things quickly, swiftly. I'm a big sports fan, and I love Wayne Gretzky's, to where the puck is going. We're not sitting there kind of like hoping to maybe find it over here. We're out there going for it. So we were very, very active immediately when this happened. And in all fairness, I was not happy about it. It took me a couple of days to kind of wrap my arms around what was going on. Yeah. You're telling me I have to close my office in March, March, April, May, and we didn't think it was going to go so long.
I didn't think any of us were ready.
I kind of stomped my feet a little bit. I've got to be honest, but I've got clients to take care of, and I have agents that are, looking at us as owners to say, what are you doing? And so, we made that shift very quickly. Thankfully, we didn't have to start from scratch. We were already virtual. We had, the only thing we really had to do, honestly, was to go out and get the PPEs. Is that right? The booties, the masks, the gloves, the hand sanitizer, because we already had it all in place. We were able to operate virtually like that. And I think that really helped. And I think it helped to ensure that we didn't have chaos within the office,
right,
because we were able to be and continue to be in contact with our team, the admin people in the office, and then our agents, the admin people daily, multiple times a day. And the agents in the office, we've been doing Zoom meetings Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 9:30. And started out that John and I would lead them. And then I said, I think they're going to get sick of us. So then we had it so that the agents will lead them. And so we put everybody's name in a hat and we're drawing them out. And some of the things that the agents have come up with to share during this time have been really incredible. And I'm so proud of them. They are amazing people and amazing, talented real estate professionals. And it's been really interesting, because we almost are spending more time now because we're at a certain time to get on the call together. So it's been a journey, but we're making the best of it and staying in communication.
Actually, it's funny you should say that, because I've been seeing that across many different, I have friends in different industries. And one of the things that we've all agreed upon is that you took a moment to pivot and to adjust, right? And if you had your systems in order, like you said, it was an easy transition. Ricardo and I, our businesses have been largely virtual for most of our careers. So this was not, it was like, okay, it's Thursday, right? But there's a pandemic. But that being said, a lot of people have had increased bonding because of this, because there is more frequency, more touch time, and like you said, collaboration, which I think actually strengthens your unit, because now it's, hey, we were always in it together, but now we have this, added layer of investment with one another, which I feel truly helps power along a brokerage even stronger than prior.
Well, I agree with you. And I think the other thing that probably the one thing that was added in that we didn't already have were the virtual showings, the virtual tours, the 3D Matterport stuff.
Yeah.
And I had seen that at Inman a couple of years back, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it didn't feel right to me at the time. I kind of, quite frankly, didn't love it, but I love what it does for us now.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so we have incorporated it in, and that way we can have our clients and the agents in the community see our houses differently than just through photos.
You're trying to be as accommodating as you can for the consumer.
Absolutely. So they really can get a really good idea about what the house feels like, looks like, spaces, rooms, and then particularly in the very early days, decide if they wanted to take the leap into going into a house. And the other piece of it was the sellers got some reassurance that the buyers have already looked online. They already have a good feeling for it. And so it's a way to make sure that there's some seriousness about it. It's not frivolous. It's not, I just want to see what my neighbor's house looks like, and taking on all the protocols and things we're required to do with the forms and the pre-approvals and all that. Tours, it has helped.
Do you ever have to push back at all? Like, I remember an agent once telling me, and it was a nice little sort of script that he used. One of the questions he would always ask his buyers is, buyers will often say, can we see this one? Can we see this one? Can we see this one? Next thing you know, you have a list of 10, 20 properties to show. So one of his scripts was, is this a contender for purchase? Because he would use that to gauge the seriousness or the motivation level of a buyer. How do you kind of handle that to push back a little bit and make sure that the people and the properties you are showing, there's that intent?
Pre-COVID, and I did a video on this, before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. We're not quite after COVID yet, but the idea is that pre-COVID, if you're going to take a buyer out, they have to be qualified. That's an interview process. That's a whole deep dive on what their motivations are, what they need, what they can qualify for. And so that really, I don't think would be a consideration for me because I do my work up front. Yeah. But situation now where the buyers are being asked to be pre-approved before we even get in the door. I mean, that's kind of an interesting juxtaposition for what we do because, now, can they really afford the house? And, you think before, but now you really do because they have to prove it to you before you even take them in. And so if there's one good thing about any of this, that's probably it.
Right. Well, I think it made, like you said, you are an experienced agent that obviously does your due diligence before you go out in the field. But this probably helps a lot of folks that maybe that was a tender spot for them, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to figure that out. But as far as just time,
you have to ask the questions. Yeah. And you have to ask the questions because, again, as a professional, you don't want to be running yourself all over town with somebody who can't buy a house. No. I mean, that's a waste of your time. So
yeah, I never understood that. That's a challenge. But hey, the life of virtual, sure, it's natural to, as a consumer, if you're thinking about, hey, I want to upgrade my home, because that's the thing about COVID that I think I've noticed more than anything. Now that so many people have pivoted and they now work from home, they're realizing, what, my home isn't necessarily the space that I need to live in, to teach the kids school, to work out, to have a place to, garden, because a lot of people's industries have shifted. And so, the move up opportunities are there for people that say, okay, now I know what I want to live in. I need a pool. I need this. I need that. No, but seriously, I mean, and I think that creates a great opportunity for anyone that's saying, okay, maybe I have loved my home, but maybe it's time for me to consider that move up because we don't know what we have to expect with this pandemic. And just knowing that you can be happy where you're at.
And I will tell you, my daughter just handled a very nice couple that had a darling little house. And they realize throughout all this that they need a bigger house and
Oh gosh.
a bigger yard with the pool, just as you mentioned, Stacey. And she sold them another house, and they're moving a couple miles away, but it's a lot bigger and it's got more space and it's going to meet their needs
That's awesome.
more perfectly, just as their family grows, number one, and then God forbid we ever get stuck in our houses like this again.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, right? But that's the thing. We wouldn't have expected these things to happen, right?
No.
So it makes all of us rethink our living spaces.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the things like most of us, like Ricardo and I both have always been on the go.
I wouldn't have survived quarantine if it wouldn't have been for this new space.
And can you think about all those people in New York City that 700 square foot apartments and no place to go? No, that means some of them without even a balcony or anything. I mean, I can't even imagine that kind of claustrophobia, but it's true. And I think that because of that, it does create a lot of opportunity in our market for change and shifts and understanding what's important and, allowing some growth. And since rates are so low, even to move up for some people could be very minor in the scheme of things as far as, what it might cost them to do so.
Right.
So, it's a good time in a lot of ways. It's just uncharted territory right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, that's like you said, it's sort of there's a silver lining to, what was the unexpected. So that being said, as we do start to see that, obviously some open houses are definitely happening back to normal with special circumstance. But that being said, what are you finding is the most common questions that the consumer is having when they're thinking about whether or not this is the right time to list their property? What are you, two parts to that question. What are the most common questions that the consumer is bringing to you? And then what are your responses? So we can kind of speak to that. So anyone watching this today or rebroadcast might have those same questions, and we can maybe create some answers for them today.
Well, I think the sellers are thinking, are there any buyers out there? Am I going to be able to get my price? And our price is falling. And they're fearful, they just don't know. And then they ask, is it safe? And of course I reassure them we've taken all the necessary precautions to make sure that, I walk in with the wipes, I've got gloves,
give them that confidence and reassurance.
Yes. And that, it's two people in the house at a time, and so it's that piece of it, I think is very, that part of it is not hard. It's the fear of the unknown, I think, that is difficult for people right now. I mean, if you think about it, 8 weeks ago, we were terrified to think that maybe any of us might have gotten COVID and our family members. And so I think people are still a little traumatized by that.
Right.
So part of what I help them do is, I don't want to say move past it because it's a real feeling and it's a real emotion, but try to explain that logically we can handle this listing carefully and safely and keep your home secure and allow you to make your move. And so I think that helps people feel confident enough to move on and do something.
Right. And are you finding that there are more homeowners that are willing to, because inventory has obviously been an issue, right? Are you finding that there are more homeowners that are starting to kind of loosen that grip and say, okay, I think I'm ready to make that decision to move up, move out, and see what's out there?
I've had a lot of conversations with people who are now saying, okay, well, I'm not sure I'm quite ready yet. I'm not sure I'm quite ready yet.
Yeah.
But they're starting to think about it again. And I think in part because they've been, quarantined and locked up in their houses and they're ready for it. But, part of what I do when I'm talking to people is say, look, I'm here to take this journey with you, however long it takes. I'm going to be selling real estate, next week, next month, next year, for the next many years. And so whenever the time is right for you, I'll be here for you. Right. And I think that gives them some security, relief, confidence that they're not being forced into something.
You're not being pushy and just trying to get the sale. Right?
No, because I don't work like that.
Right.
I've never worked like that. And it's
Right.
because it's about them. When I take care of them, then I get taken care of. So what
Right.
I need to do to make them feel more comfortable, that's what I do.
So I just want to just highlight that really quick. So I hear you saying, this very, very successful real estate agent, sorry, I'm going to do this, that being pushy is not the answer.
It's not my style.
It's not your style. And putting the consumers, concerns, fears, and what they truly like, it's sort of uncovering, figuring out what is the pain in the situation. Is it an emotional hurdle that we need to get over? Is it a physical barrier? Is it a financial barrier? What is the struggle? Let's identify that. And then let's meet the consumer where they are, instead of trying to force my narrative on them because I have a goal. Right.
Right.
And I do have goals. I have lots of them.
Of course. Every one of us do.
I learned that if I help them get theirs met, mine get met. So
exactly. It's like that continuous circle. So that's wonderful, and we appreciate that. And it's really great to hear. We have had the opportunity to have conversations with different styles of sellers out there, and different. Different markets. So different markets have different ways of handling things. And, the messaging is similar. It's figuring out what the consumer is after and finding ways to connect the dots for them. So we really do appreciate that, you're able to, bring that to the table. And one of the things that I noticed is that you shifted quite a bit, and you have been doing a lot of conversational video with your clients online. Is that something that you would say you've stepped up to the plate even more, just in this, because we can't have that face-to-face time as much? Or,
well, I have to say, I didn't think anybody would want to hear me. Like, what's Laura talking about now? It was never something that I thought I had to do, but it became clear to me as we moved through this kind of difficult time that I needed to be there for them as the voice of reason and really the authority, because this is what I do and what I've done for a long, long, long time at, a high level. So I decided to get on video and do my best to inform and reassure and hopefully bring a positive voice to what's going on and let people know that, this isn't going to last forever. And we will have opportunities for, just positivity and optimism and things like that, so that we can keep everybody kind of steady in the boat and not go off the deep end.
Right.
I'm so glad that you used that word, because I really, really wanted to work this in, Laura.
There you go.
One of the things that Laura did that I loved, because I love when you do something that's super authentic and it's true to you and it really resonates, is, Laura did something that was a pause, like PAWS for positivity, hashtag, and she was sharing. You have a new family member. You want to tell us a little bit about your new family member?
I do.
That's adorable.
I'm kind of a crazy Cocker Spaniel lady. I've always loved Cocker Spaniels since I was a little kid. And we just received a gift of a beautiful animal who needed a new home, and we needed a new Cocker. And his name is Charlie. And he's absolutely adorable. And I did the pause for positivity, saying, sometimes, and it was a rainy day when I was doing the video, I said, sometimes these very rainy days just bum you out. But, if you have your little furry friend around, it makes you feel better anyways. So,
so true. Ricardo, you're going to have your own awesome. Charlie here in a minute too.
I am.
4 weeks. Charlie.
We're gonna have our first baby girl.
Oh, how exciting!
Yeah. So the
congratulations.
The countdown is on. It should be about another 4 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Wow.
I keep thinking we're going to be. Yeah, I keep thinking we're going to be on live, and he's going to be like, "I gotta go.
Well, call me.
It could be me. Yes. So I'm going to become a grandma, or he's going to become a dad. We're on a race because our due dates are the same.
That's crazy.
generational differences, but
I love
the
it.
young guy, the old lady.
That's funny.
And I've got a dog. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Exactly. So that being said, Laura, we really appreciate that, obviously taking the time to come and talk with us today was awesome, because I know that you're literally crammed all the time with your appointments. So thanks for taking the time to share. And it's our hope that, the whole mentality behind this live stream is ready, set, thrive. It's about how to thrive during times that are difficult, how to thrive when there's a market that's a little challenging, and then how consumers can really benefit from hearing from these expert leaders and figuring out how to make the best decisions, like you said, with their biggest investment in their life. So thank you for sharing. And if you're watching this as a rebroadcast and you're a consumer that's looking to sell your home or has questions, please feel free to reach out to Laura or any of her team, because as you have witnessed here today, wealth of information, and we are excited that we got the chance to share with you today. And do you have any last thoughts, Ricardo?
No, Laura, certainly appreciate you. Like I said, you don't get to where you are by not doing all of the right things, and it's obvious you're passionate and have a strong work ethic. So we appreciate you. Thank you for sharing some knowledge today.
It's my pleasure. And if you need a bigger place because of your new baby, you know who to call.
Yeah, she's bringing all that. See, Laura's not pushy, but she's assertive. There is a difference. Yeah.
There is a difference.
I'll be here. Just give me a call.
Love it. Well, thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you again, Laura.
My pleasure.
Okay. Bye.